Confirm the meeting is live.
Oh, great. Thank you. Ron, are we ready to begin?
Yes, you're ready to begin.
Perfect. I call this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. This is a regular meeting of the Baldwin Park Planning Commission for May 13th, 2020. Commissioner Garrido, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you, Commissioner. Go ahead and please mute your mics and then place your right hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Garrido. At this time, Madam Secretary, will you please call roll?
Thank you, Chair. Chair Christopher Stein,
Present.
Vice Chair Edwin Borcas,
Here.
Commissioner Edith Flores,
Present.
Commissioner Christopher Garrido,
Present.
and Commissioner Marlen Garcia.
Present.
Great. Thank you very much. At this time, we're going to move on to public communications. Madam Secretary, have you received any communication from the public?
No communications have been received, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So at this time, we're going to move on to the consent calendar. I motion to adopt the action minutes from April 22nd, 2020. Do I have a second?
Second, Commissioner Borges.
Great. Motion myself, Commissioner Sines, second by Commissioner Borges. At this time, Madam Secretary, will you please call roll?
Chair Christopher Stein,
Yes.
Vice Chair Edwin Borcas,
Yes.
Commissioner Edith Flores,
Yes.
Commissioner Christopher Garrido,
Yes.
and Commissioner Marlen Garcia.
Yes.
Great. Action minutes from April 22nd, 2020 have been adopted 5-0. At this time, we're going to move on to set matters public hearing, a request for approval of a conditional use permit to allow the operation of a church within an existing 2,030 square foot tenant space. The project is located within the industrial zone, location 13131 Brooks Drive, Unit A, applicant Expedito Bagunu, case number CP 20-03. Mr. Ron Garcia.
Yes, Associate Planner Melissa Chipris will be doing the presentation.
Okay, good evening, honorable members of the commission. So before you, on April 22nd, the Planning Commission heard item conditional use permit application 20-03 to allow a church within an existing 2,030 square foot office space within the industrial zone. This item was continued from the meeting on April 22nd due to concerns that the proposed church would be operating near previously approved cannabis facilities. Next slide, please, David. Staff reviewed the concerns and have provided a radius map that shows cannabis facilities within a 600-foot distance from the proposed church. The radius map provided indicates that the closest cannabis facility at 4802 Little John Street is approximately 280 feet away from the proposed church, and the furthest at 13642 Brooks Drive and 4621 Little John Street are approximately 750 feet away from the proposed church. Staff notified the applicant of the existing cannabis facilities located approximately 280 feet from the proposed church location, which does fall within the 600-foot buffer distance. And the applicant has agreed to sign an acknowledgement waiver that, acknowledgement waiver with the understanding that the cannabis facility is a pre-existing use. And the staff has also included a condition within the resolution requiring the applicant to sign this acknowledgement waiver prior to any issuance of building permits for tenant improvements. Next slide, please, David. To conclude, staff does recommend that the Planning Commission approve Resolution PC 20-11 to approved CP 20-03. And the applicant is present this evening and is available for any questions. Thank you.
Perfect. Also like to add, Chairman, members of the commission as well, since the meeting date and the question brought up if any cannabis facilities were located to the proposed church location, since then staff has placed some safeguards within our GIS mapping system for any future sensitive uses that are looking to come and locate within any area of in any area where cannabis facilities are currently operating, to advise them further of those requirements. This was also confirmed and also relayed with the city attorney's office for approval.
Noted. Thank you very much, Melissa and Ron. At this time, commissioners, is there any questions of staff? Seeing no questions, at this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing. Madam Secretary, have we received any communications from the public in regards to this item?
None have been received, sir.
Thank you very much. So at this time, I now close the public hearing. Commissioners, any additional questions of the applicant or staff? Great. Seeing no further questions, I now make a motion to adopt the findings of fact and resolution PC 20-11 entitled A Resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Baldwin Park approving a conditional use permit to allow the operation of a church within an existing 2,030 square foot tenant space. The project is located within the industrial zone pursuant to table 153.050.020 of the city's municipal code, location 13131 Brooks Drive, Unit A, applicant Expedito Paguno, case number CP 20-03. Do I have a second?
This is Commissioner Garrido. I second.
Thank you very much. Moved by myself, Commissioner Sines, seconded by Commissioner Garrido. Madam Secretary, can you please call roll?
Chair Christopher Sines,
Yes.
Vice Chair Edwin Borcas,
Yes.
Commissioner Edith Flores,
Yes.
Commissioner Christopher Garrido,
Yes.
and Commissioner Marlen Garcia.
Yes.
Thank you.
So at this time, findings of fact have been adopted, and so has resolution PC 20-11. Thank you very much. So at this time, we're going to move on to matter number 3, a request for consideration of a conditional use permit to allow the operation of a used automobile sales business within the industrial commercial zone pursuant to table 153.050.020 of the city's municipal code, location 13409 Garvey Avenue, Unit 6, applicant Kang Tai, case number CP 20-08.
Yes, planning intern Rogelio Baez will be doing the presentation.
Good evening, Honorable Chair and members of the Commission. Before you is a request for consideration of a conditional use permit for the operation of a used automobile sales business. The project site is located in the IC Industrial Commercial Zone. This site is located east of Garvey Avenue and Waco Avenue intersection. The site contains street frontage along Garvey Avenue with a lot area of approximately 54,884 square feet, and the unit is approximately 2,706 square feet. Next slide, please. The history for this site, it has had uses similar to the use approved in the past by the Planning Commission. In 2018, CP 859 was approved for automobile repair business with auto sales and rentals. CP 861 was approved for automobile sales and repair, and CP 866 for automobile sales. According to the City of Baldwin Park zoning code, the parking requirement for an automotive sales is 1 space for every 2,000 square feet per building area. The business site requires 2 parking spaces, and the site currently yields 49 parking spaces, exceeding the amount required. The applicant's automobile business will consist of specialized sales in high-end vehicles containing a showroom, a bathroom, and an office with no tentative improvements proposed. Next slide. The majority of the sales will be generated through internet marketing with no more than 4 vehicles in the showroom at one time and no outdoor storage of vehicles. Next slide. Lastly, the hours of operation for the business will be 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday and 10 a.m. through 4 p.m. on Saturday. In conclusion, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution 2013 to approve CP 20-08. The applicant is also present to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So at this time, is there any questions of staff? Seeing no questions, I now open up the public hearing. At this time, have we received any communications from the public, Madam Secretary?
None submitted.
Thank you very much. At this time, I now close the public hearing. Commissioners, any questions of the applicant or of staff? Seeing no questions, I now move to adopt Resolution PC 20-13, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Baldwin Park adopting the findings of fact and approving a conditional use permit to allow the operation of a used automobile sales business within the industrial commercial zone pursuant to Table 153.050.020 in the city's municipal code, location 13409 Garvey Avenue, Unit 6, applicant Kang Tai, case number CP 20-08. Do I have a second?
I second that, Commissioner Flores.
Thank you very much. Moved by myself, Commissioner Sines, seconded by Commissioner Flores. At this time, Madam Secretary, will you please call roll?
Chair Christopher Sines,
Yes.
Vice Chair Edwin Borkus,
Yes.
Commissioner Edith Flores,
Yes.
Commissioner Christopher Garrido,
Yes.
Commissioner Marlen Garcia.
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. At this time, Resolution PC 20-13 has been adopted 5-0.
So noted.
At this time, we're going to move on to set matters. Number 4, a request for consideration of a municipal zoning code amendment to modify Chapter 153.150 off-street parking and loading regulations, Section 153.150.050, parking development dimensions and location pursuant to Section 153.210, Part 15 of the Municipal Code, location citywide, applicant City of Baldwin Park, case number AZC 20-01. Mr. Ron Garcia.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the commission. This item doesn't have a PowerPoint presentation. As mentioned, the amendment to the municipal code will allow for the reduction in the required minimum parking stall size for non-residential surface parking. Parking standards are one of the more frequently used sections in the municipal code. The proposed amendment is a response to the number of deviations processed from commercial surface parking standards through the planning division. The amendment would provide parking stall size consistency throughout the city. While reviewing the off-street parking standards in the municipal code, planning staff noted that the parking stall of 10-foot width and a 20-foot length standard in Baldwin Park is larger than standards adopted by many other jurisdictions in the San Gabriel Valley. In other jurisdictions, the standard parking stall is 9 feet by 18 feet. To address this the number of deviations received by our department, staff found that the required parking stall size standards varied throughout the city of Baldwin Park. For example, if you remember when Raising Cane's was proposed, that is located in the Francisquito Triangle Specific Plan. And there, the parking stall size required is 8.5 feet by 18 feet. And again, the zoning code requires 10 foot by 20 foot. And you can see the inconsistency there. Moreover, staff then surveyed and obtained information on minimum parking stall sizes in neighboring cities. And so of the neighboring cities that staff surveyed, showed a parking stall size of 9 feet by 18 feet. The cities that were surveyed were the city of Duarte, Covina, West Covina, Azusa, Monrovia, Arcadia, Almonte, Rosemead, San Dimas, and Irwindale. In evaluating the aspects of the parking stall standards, code amendment is warranted and ideal to reduce the existing required 10 foot by 20 foot parking stall standard. Therefore, staff is recommending that a parking stall, so essentially staff is recommending a parking stall with the flexibility of an option of proposing 8.5 or 9 feet by 18 feet in length, which essentially would bring it into a consistent parking stall requirement as you would find in adjacent cities. Staff believes that the proposed amendment would not interfere with the proposed intent of the regulations in the zoning code. And essentially this would allow proposed development to provide additional building square footage, additional landscaping, and also improve parking design layout to serve parking for those proposed uses. Therefore, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission recommend to the City Council adoption of the code amendment. I'd be happy to answer any questions with regards to the proposed amendment.
Ron, this is Commissioner Garrido.
Yes.
So you're talking, this is for future projects then, correct? Anything
Yes,
future?
exactly. Correct. Any future
And
development?
my other question to you is anything that let's say that was currently before this amendment, what if they've already started or something? Do they have to adapt to this, or are they going to be required to change, or how is that going to work?
So for example, good question. So for example, any existing development that's already been approved, they will proceed. Most of the development that again, this is non-residential. So any residential development, this doesn't pertain to, because the current standards for residential will continue to stay in place. For commercial development, since we've been on board, and again, as mentioned, we've received applications for deviations, and staff has also found past development approvals that have asked for a reduction, which would make it in line with what we're proposing tonight. But if there are any existing developments, commercial developments, I don't know of any in particular when I did the research, but I have advised future development that are in the pipeline right now that we're going through this code amendment. So they're going to be prepared, if council approves this amendment, to revise their plans accordingly. And so essentially what that would mean, additional parking, and then also enhanced landscaping and parking lot design within their development. Any past developments that have been approved that have provided the 10 by 20 or that have been approved with a deviation, essentially with this approval would bring those into conformance with the code. So I hope that answers that question.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Hey, Ron, I have a question about this. So our code is just like one standard size? Like, does our code not make a distinction between, like, let's say like a smaller compact, like if you're in a parking lot with compact size car stalls, do we have that option? Or is it at this time, like our code only calls for one standard size? So like, I guess, I don't know if compact, like if you can fit more compact stalls in a row that like, as opposed to regular size stalls. Like I was just driving, I was in a shopping center in Pasadena, and I noticed that there was a lot of compact stalls. And so do they like, in order to make compact stalls, would you need like to deviate, like apply for to deviate from the code? I guess, or I guess, hopefully I'm not confusing everybody.
No,
but,
not at all. No, you're perfectly clear. Good question.
But how is that possible? How can we give the like developers that say like Raising Cane's or anybody making like a shopping center the opportunity to put like compact, would a developer need to apply for a deviance in order to install compact sized stalls?
Very good question, Chairman Sands. In Baldwin Park, the municipal code strictly prohibits compact parking spaces. So a developer would not be able to propose compact parking. In my experience in working with parking lot design for developments from small to large development, I'm sure everyone can experience parking stalls. Compact parking is, in the practical world, they don't work. Compact parking spaces don't work, especially when they're in rows. So if you have a row of 20, 10 or 20 parking stalls that are all compact, they don't work because you end up getting an overlap with, let's say, a large vehicle ends up taking 2 parking spaces, right? In my experience, they work. Compact parking, when it is allowed, the times that that I've reviewed parking lots with compact parking is when you space them out. So you want parking compact at the end of the parking rows or in the middle, but you don't want them clustered because, again, as I mentioned, they don't work in the real world. And I'm sure you guys have all been able to experience that. But if a developer did want to propose compact parking, unfortunately, the municipal code prohibits it, strictly prohibits it. They would only have the option for surface parking, of providing a standard parking stall as the one that we're recommending tonight, with a width of 8.5 by 9 or 18 feet. With an 18-foot depth. And I'd also like to add, just to give you some perspective, the parking structure here at City Hall, here at the Metro Village, the parking stall there is a standard 8.5 by 18-foot length. So it's not 10 by 20. And so we're finding that throughout the city and previous developments, you see this mixed bag of approval. And when you see a high number of deviations being requested, it warrants an amendment, because it tells you that something's not working. I will tell you, in my experience being here in the year, sitting down with developers when going over the development standards specific to parking, their jaws drop as soon as they see that 10 by 20 parking stall size. And just one more thing I'd like to add is, in doing this research, I found that perfect example is the LA Fitness project. I went back and I looked at that project to see how they did that, because doing this for a number of years that I've been doing, I can tell when there's a parking stall, it's either a compact or it's a standard. And I thought, this isn't a 10 by 20 as required in the code. So we went and did some research, and we found that LA Fitness asked for a deviation. So I think of the couple hundred parking spaces required for that development, 90% of the stalls that were proposed there were 9x18, our standard, and there were, I believe, only like 25 to 29 parking spaces at 10x20. So if they were to propose at 10x20, they would not be able to meet, that development would not be able to meet the parking stall requirements. And in turn, what happens is you end up getting this, sea of asphalt. And so when you add all this parking, you want to be able to allow the ability to add a tree canopy within the parking lot. So that can be in the form of landscape diamonds to put trees, landscape fingers within the parking stalls. That's a really good parking lot design, especially when you can enhance the parking lot with landscaping. And our zoning code already sets that standard to provide additional landscaping within the parking lot, but it makes it very difficult to provide a 10x20 parking stall, which is out of line with what is required in the San Gabriel Valley, and still provide a softening of landscaping and parking within the parking lot. So that's my long-winded answer there. I hope I was able to provide some clarity, but
definitely.
more than happy to answer any.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. It definitely clarifies. And I guess if this is a standard that's used across the San Gabriel Valley and beyond, it almost seemed like, just doing some research online, this is kind of like almost like a nationwide size. But I guess if it's so many cities are using this size, then I take it that like a normal SUV or like a pickup truck could fit comfortably within that size.
Yes, no, absolutely. That's why we're recommending tonight this amendment, because essentially it's going to provide consistency in parking, non-residential parking standard stall size throughout the city, and also is going to make it easier. Not so much easier, but it's going to remove that step from developers having to request an amendment, because, as you know, the availability of land isn't there to provide a 10x20 foot parking stall. And when you have a small development and you have to meet the parking requirements, it makes it very difficult, very, very difficult to do that. So then that's when they ask for an adjustment, essentially to reduce that parking stall size. I will tell you, as I mentioned with Raising Cane's in particular, when I first came on board, when I was processing that project, that was the first thing that jumped out at me. I'm thinking, how are they going to meet the parking stall requirements at that parking stall size? So as I did some further digging, I ended up finding out that that whole area is within a specific plan, and that specific plan essentially requires the parking stall size as we're recommending tonight. So so it provides some consistency. And again, there are some outlier cities that require a little larger, but I would say in my professional experience and working with parking stall standards, between an 8.5 or 9 foot width with an 18-foot length is the standard. And like I said, I've been in a slew of development review meetings, and that has been a topic of conversation almost always when reviewing development.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Ron. So I guess at this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing. So, Madam Secretary, have we received any input, communication from the public in regards to this matter?
None submitted.
Great. Thank you very much. At this time, is there any additional questions of staff, commissioners? Seeing no additional questions, I now move to adopt resolution PC 20-14 entitled
Chairman Cyan's, it's Robert Tafoya.
Yes. Hi, Robert.
You need to close the public hearing. You asked for communication. She said none, but you still need to close it.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you for catching that. At this time, I am now going to close the public hearing and move to adopt resolution PC 20-14 entitled a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Baldwin Park recommending that the City Council amend the City Municipal Code, Chapter 153.150, Section 153.150.050 relating to parking development, dimensions, location, citywide, applicant, City of Baldwin Park, case number AZC 20-01. Do I have a second?
This is Chairman Garrido. Excuse me, Commissioner Garrido, and I say.
Thank you, Commissioner Garrido. At this time, Madam Secretary, will you please call roll?
Chair Christopher Sines,
Yes.
Vice Chair Edwin Borkus,
Yes.
Commissioner Edith Flores,
Yes.
Commissioner Christopher Garrido,
Yes.
Commissioner Marlen Garcia.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. It has been adopted 5-0. At this time, I'm going to move on to public comments. Madam Secretary, have we received any communications from the public since we began the meeting?
No communications have been received, sir.
Noted. Thank you very much. So at this time, I'm going to move to reports of officers. Ron, is there any communication?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I just want to advise the Planning Commission that there will be no meeting held on May 27th. Our next Planning Commission meeting will be held on June 10th. And again, I will advise the commissioners of the latest news with respect to whether we're going to continue with a virtual meeting as we are doing now, or we're going to have a in-person Planning Commission meeting. But as soon as I get that information, I will definitely share that with the commission in preparation for the next Planning Commission meeting for June 10th. And that's all.
Thank you, Ron. So at this time, I would like to make a motion to adjourn tonight's Planning Commission meeting in honor of Eddie Tafoya, brother of our City Attorney Robert Tafoya. Mr. Eddie Tafoya passed away this week in Arizona. He is the oldest son of Larry and Bina Tafoya. Eddie was a true and lifelong Dallas Cowboy fan, having grown up in Arlington, Texas. Eddie was a loving son and brother, and he will be missed. On behalf of the Planning Commission, I want to extend our deepest condolences to the Tafoya family during this trying time. And this is my motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Chairman.
I second.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Garcia. At this time, Madam Secretary, will you please call roll?
Chair Christopher Sines,
Yes.
Vice Chair Edwin Borkus,
Yes.
Commissioner Edith Flores,
Yes.
Commissioner Christopher Garrido,
Yes.
Commissioner Marlen Garcia.
Yes.
Thank you.
Meeting has been adjourned at 7:35 p.m. Viva Baldwin Park.
Viva Baldwin Park.
Viva Baldwin Park.